This is a special postscript interview for our friend Karen Elkins, who is a great colleague, and we hope that you'll enjoy it.
Hi, everybody. This is Karen Elkins, and I'm here as a substitute for John L. Peterson, who's taking a bit of a break for recovery right now. And we're introducing James Sorensen, who will be at Transition Talks on August 23rd in the morning from 10 to 12 a.m. in Berkeley Springs, where the springs are always bubbling and where people want to go. That's a great weekend getaway. It's only 2 hours from Baltimore and Washington. So don't hesitate to show up, especially right now because it's summer and it's a perfect time to go. James is an excellent, I'm going to say, proponent for what we call the electric universe model, which has really caught on over the last, I'm going to say, what is it, James, 10, 12 years, something like that?
Yeah, I would actually say it goes back to the very first guy who discovered electricity, James Clerk Maxwell, like over 100 years ago. But it's been growing in leaps and bounds lately as we get more and more discoveries in science.
So when we look at what we now call the electric universe model, it is challenging a lot of the conventional wisdom about the universe. So why don't you give us a little bit of a background of what it is that's different and what it is that's giving us an opportunity to look at our world in a very different way?
Well, a lot of people think the electric universe is related to stars and planets, and that's kind of been a big part of their focus. But in reality, it's been there's multiple theories. There's probably hundreds of theories in the electric universe model, and they've been created by thousands of scientists over the last 100 years or so. So it's not a small one single theory. It's hundreds of theories, and it involves all the sciences. So most of our sciences don't even recognize that electricity exists. You never hear about electricity with the weather. You never hear electricity with geology or biology. Very little. I mean, maybe your nerves have a little bit of electricity, but we're finding more and more that everything is driven by electricity. And recently, I've been reading a book that's called Charged, and I kind of really want to change the term electricity to more being charged, because electricity is the motion of charge, but we're seeing charge everywhere. Charge is what drives chemistry. Charge is what chemistry is all about. And we never think of it in electric terms. We think of it more as this science that involves things mixing together, but we don't see the electric component of it. So really, the electric universe is all about charge. And we're finding now that we see magnetic fields. We look out into space, and everywhere we see magnetic ropes, magnetic tendrils, and magnetic fields, but we don't associate it back with what typically on Earth we use to create magnetism, and that's electricity. And so we're now beginning to discover that the galaxies are possibly connected through large electric currents. And these electric currents go into the sun. That then comes to the earth in the form of a solar wind. We're in a magnetic bubble. They call it the magnetosphere, which is created by this electric current. And then even down on the earth, we have large electric currents running through the earth. We have massive charge variations in our atmosphere where we have positive and negative charges. And the question I like to ask is, what does it do? And if you ask science, it must not do anything because they never really talk about it. They don't discuss the potential that what this electric charge could be doing. And we're now finding out that it drives a lot of our biological and our geophysical systems.
Well, it's kind of hard to imagine with the picture and the landscape you have behind you when our skies go thundering that we think that it does nothing. And again, that goes back to the positive and negative polarity. And I think the book you're talking about, Charge, is the new book that's just coming out by Dr. Gerald Pollack. Am I right?
Correct. Yes, I'm just in the process. I managed to get an early copy, and I'm just starting to read it. It's fascinating.
Yeah, and he will also be at the Tesla Tech Conference, and the book will be out, and so that's great. And you will be there. And Transition Talks is a part of an affiliate program of that. So if you're at all interested in that, sign up, join in like everything else with us, with Tesla Tech and Transition Talks. Everything is in person or online. So anyways, check out that partnership they have. So tell me a little bit more, because I know when I've gone to the Electric Universe conferences many times, it is multidisciplinary. That's something that they always did. They talked about the Earth geology and how it actually created the landscape of what we see. So when I fly on an airplane and I look down and you see the rivers, that's an electrical current. And it's actually funny, we do use the words, but we don't associate them with the actual thing that it's actually doing. It's doing the current.
Right. If you just the word current, if you look at a river, it's got ions in it. These ions are moving, so that's a moving charge.
Mm-hmm.
It literally is the motion of an electric current moving across the earth, and it carries charge from one place to another. And so I agree. I hadn't thought of that. We do use the word current when we discuss rivers. But I think of it more as in our atmosphere, we have these massive electric charges that we call high and low pressure areas. And we think they drive our weather. That's one aspect that about the electric universe is science does recognize electricity, but they often think it's the product of something else. Something else is causing the electricity. And a real good example is lightning. They believe that evaporation carries charge up into the cloud, and then the lightning comes back down again in the form of an electric thunderbolt. And the electric universe flips that completely on its head, and it says, no, the weather isn't causing electricity. Instead, there's this electric charge, and it is driving the weather. So instead of it being the product of something else, it is the motivating force.
Well, here's the interesting part. Last night we had thunderclouds, and you have thunder where you are right now. And I always know it's a pressure condition. So when the heat and the cold get mixed, we get charge. And that is a common thing. And that actually is what we would call fusion, which would be an explosion. So when you put hot and cold together and you mix them, think about what you get. You get electricity. What happens when a volcano explodes? It gets in that pressure condition, it comes out, and at that midpoint, that pinch point, which they talk a lot about in the electric universe, that was Walt Thornhill and David Talbot are the ones who ran the Electric Universe conferences for years. And they were passionate about what they saw in the sky. They didn't call things black holes. They called them Berkeley currents. But if you look at it, it is still the way electricity goes. It doesn't go into a black hole and disappear nowhere. It's part of, I'm going to call it a magnetic electric field. That like you come in like an hourglass, you come in and then you disperse. I mean, that's even how life in general comes in and out.
Well, this is one thing. This is how I got into the electric universe, was through the cosmological view, looking at black holes and dark matter and dark energy. And our explanations are totally based on gravity. And that's really about the only tool in a cosmologist's toolbox is gravity. Everything is being drawn together through gravity. And they don't even consider electricity. And there are alternative explanations for these phenomena. So when we talk about a black hole, if you introduce electricity into your theories, suddenly you have a completely different mechanism that creates and drives a black hole. So what really is a black hole? Is it a gravitational sink where everything is going into it? Or is it a node on a wire that's connected in our universe?
Well, it's kind of funny. I've been working on the Walter Russell stuff, and what made me in the study course and what showed up was the synoid curtain. The synoid thing, you know, when you wrap the coils around, and then what happens when you have that coil, that center, it pushes out a magnetic field. It itself harnesses the electricity, and then from there becomes the field. So even if you look at the Earth has its core, which is dynamic and hot, and with it we create a field. So what you have is as a standing wave is kind of what the Earth is. It's like its own little field of energy that's collapsed into this ball of mass, And around it is a magnetic field. Inside it is its core, which is electric molten hot. So what you've got is cold pressure condition coming into the hot, and we still from the top still get energy flowing in, and we still have energy flowing up. That's how the electrical current literally moves. So our energy in our body, or our earth body, is an electrical system. That's why we go and we talk about grounding. We go take our feet off and our shoes off, and there's something called grounding, which was somebody at the Electric Universe one time talked about the importance of grounding and how with all of our plastic shoes, we don't get Earth's energies anymore. And that's some of the reasons why we are not so well.
What grounding really is you think of, there's electrons and protons,
Mm-hmm.
and the Earth is full of electrons. It's very much a negative charge in comparison to the sun. And so when you take off your shoes and you touch the Earth, all these electrons flow up into your body. And that energy, that negative energy, is part of the biological processes. And I myself right now, my keyboard is sitting on a mat that is connected to the Earth. And so I'm grounding all day long when I'm sitting at my computer. And I can sit and have a TV set or something creating electromagnetic radiation, and it can be hitting me. But as long as I'm connected to the Earth, it can't change my voltage. It can't do anything to me. I am connected to the Earth. That little TV does nothing to me.
So that
So
there are things that you can buy, which is, I think, James, what you're talking about. There's grounding mats. And I think he's frozen for a minute, so I'll just keep talking a little bit. You can buy grounding mats, and you can find them on Amazon. And they actually have them for sheets with your bed. And that's a way for you to stay grounded.
So what we're talking about when you mention grounding or earthing is that we all know if you go to the beach, you take off your shoes, you walk in the water, that it's very healing. It feels very good. And what you're doing is you're connecting to the physically or electrically connecting to the Earth. And the Earth is negative in respect to the sun. The Earth is filled with all kinds of electrons, many, 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 many electrons. And you connect, and you immediately, your entire body will pull in these electrons. And this is important for all of our biological processes. And I myself have my keyboard is sitting on a mat that's connected to the Earth. So as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm connected physically to the Earth, or electrically, and the electrical current is if I have some kind of a noise, electromagnetic radiation near me, like a TV set or my computer or something that's generating electromagnetic interference, it can't affect me because I'm electrically connected to the Earth, and that little TV set is not going to change the potential of the Earth. So I'm insulated. And in earthing, they have shoes that we can wear and walk around, but they also have sheets that you can lay in your bed at night. And oh, you got a mat right there. I'm really amazed that yoga studios have not figured out they need to connect all their mats together to the Earth during the yoga class, but it's getting there. Then it affects our cortisol levels, it affects inflammation, and they see immediate results with the moment you start connecting to the Earth and physically absorbing these electrons. The body changes instantly almost.
So tell me what I mean, I get it, but where's, so that people understand what's literally happening inside your body when you get charged.
Well, as you all know, you're told to drink electrolytes. And electrolytes are literally little charged particles, magnesium or whatever, potassium. They carry a charge. And so when you consume them, they get into your bloodstream. And then your blood is now carrying this charge throughout the body. And it goes into the cells. And what we mentioned earlier, Gerald Pollack has discovered, is that when sunlight hits water, so just normal sunlight or infrared energy, everything around me right now is emanating infrared energy, but the sun is better at it than the floor. So if I go out in the sunlight causes the water to split into a negative and positive charge. And that negative charge goes into the cells, and then the positive charge is around the cells. And so what happens when you go out into the sunlight, you recharge every little cell in your body, and they're a tiny little battery. And you might say, well, okay, that's nice, but so what? What does it do? And this is the thing I think we're missing a lot in the electric universe even, is that what does it do? And what we have discovered is that some of the biochemical processes going on in the body are being driven by this electricity.
Absolutely.
So the photosynthesis process is very similar. That's the way plants get their energy. And we think we get our energy from plants. Well, we get a lot of energy directly from the sun, just like a plant does, using the same type of chemical processes that the plants use.
Yep, that's so true. And the Earth gets 1,000 lightning strikes every minute, and it gets charged by the solar system. So
Correct.
everything is charging everything. So everything needs that vitality. It needs that energy to literally operate.
Well, not only we think of electricity as carrying power, so you have wattage, and that drives a light bulb and makes it hot or light. But also electricity, think about it, all of our communications that we use with radio, TV, are all carried over electric circuits. So if there's an electric circuit between the sun and the earth, there's literally a communication wire for knowledge, for information to be carried between these things. So it isn't just the power that we get from the electricity, it's this interconnectedness with all life, with all existence.
That's when we realize that when they say we're all nothing but light, we are light beings. And that charge and that light is what sparks us and gives us our life. And without that, what is it, Tennant, who's actually measures the voltage in your body to tell you your
Jerry
vitality?
Tennant?
Yeah,
Jerry Tennant, yes.
right.
He not only measures the electricity in your body, but he also has the same device you can measure with will also induce a charge into your body and cause healing to affect. And I foresee in the future where we're going to move away more and more from drugs to electric devices. You'll get a little battery powered device and hook it up and cure your cancer, and then you'll give it to your neighbor and he'll have to buy 2 batteries and stick it in there and cure his. And that a lot of diseases we're finding will respond to electric currents. In this book, we can see it here. I think if you're into healing, The Body Electric is a fascinating book where this Dr. Robert Beck discusses his research into electric charge in the body and the healing process. And I really do feel medicine is headed in this direction.
He, like a lot of people, was ahead of his time, and he was very poo-pooed when that book came out.
Yes, he was.
He
Very
was.
much so.
And again, it's taken it to get a while to get its footsteps and foothold into the mainstream by any stretch.
One thing that he did that is now used of his development is that when you have a broken bone and the bone won't mend, he discovered that if you place a very, very, very small current, we're not talking enough to even run your phone. This is very small current into the bone, that it will make that bone heal. And he gives an example where they were about to amputate this guy's leg because it wouldn't heal until he put a battery into the guy's leg, and then it healed pretty quickly after that.
But you know what, James? I think we've probably given them a really good taste of why they should be coming to your lecture, because it's something that is for those in the arena. We're aware of it, but it always, either if you're not, you should be. And I think you're going to do a really lovely presentation. I've seen James lecture a few times in the past.
Well, the one thing Joe Pollock mentions in his recent is that science should be simple. It should be something we all understand. It shouldn't be limited to the PhD mathematicians and universities. If your grandmother can't understand it, then and she doesn't know anything about science, then chances are it's too complicated a theory. And so one of my goals in a presentation like this is to really make it something that is understandable to anybody and fascinating. I'm just completely fascinated by this idea that electricity is running through us.
You know what I didn't say is that you are an electrical engineer and a computer programmer. So from that perspective, you ought to know your stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting that I took that path, but it fits now. It fits to have the electric background.
Yeah, and I've either found there's two people that really kind of get the new model of what's emerging. It's either musicians because they understand the vibration, or the electricians.
Oh,
And
okay.
right, so that's something that I've noticed over the years, doing the magazine that I've done, Science to Sage, forever. So, but I want to remind everybody, you are on stage in Berkeley Springs on August 23rd from
Correct.
10 to 12. And is there a website they can also find you at, James?
Um, yeah, I need to put a lot of work into it. I've created several websites, and right now there's only one. It's called itsallelectric.org. And I'm working on it to try to bring it back up to speed because I haven't added to it. It'll give you some info. The website, if you really do want to follow it, is to go to the Thunderbolts website, which is the group that's behind the Electric Universe kind of reincarnation in this time, and that's thunderbolts.info. There's a ton of information on there.
Yeah, they have. I'm looking at the site right now. I pulled it up just to see, and they have what I call the essential guide for the electric universe. So if you want to look at some of the principles, they have a YouTube channel you can explore on. If you just want to get your feet a little bit wet, and they will discuss the body electric because they've done the conferences. And again, the conferences have always been multidisciplinary because it crosses every dimension, every discipline, and they've always brought that into that. And so, with that, we want to celebrate Walt Thornhill, who has since passed last year, unfortunately. What a sweetheart. And he and David Talbot were the ones who really brought forth this idea and brought it to more the mainstream, I'm going to say, within a conference context, and brought it in a multidiscipline way so people could actually see the broad stroke.
Right. Yeah, and another one is Don Scott.
Yeah.
Don Scott is, to me, this is a book, The Electric Sky, that Don Scott wrote. And if you really want to know about how electricity creates stars, this is the book, in my opinion, that's very easy to read, very simple.
And that'll give us everybody a clue. Okay, so with that said, thank you everybody, and come see James at Transition Talk at Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. Thank you for giving us some insight to the electric universe.
Thank you. It'll be fun.